Welcome back, everybody. We are here for another one of your questions about work. And yes, like lots of folks do, we're picking a holiday theme today. I don't know if holiday is exactly the right word for Veterans Day, a day of respect and remembrance. And so for those of you who are here for the first time, I'm Roy. I'm a startup investor in the future of work. Harold was a fellow who worked with us for a summer. And prior to that, prior to his business career, was a Green Beret in the Army. And so I just want to say, Harold, thank you for your service. I think the fact that you were a veteran was not incidental to why we wanted to work with you. We believe that as the largest employer in the United States, if we can, as professionals, learn how to collaborate with folks who have served in the military, we can be more effective as companies, as organizations, as individuals. And so the question for today, oh, and your current job, you started yesterday? You can tell us about your current role. And I think you mentioned working for some veterans. So tell us about your current role. And then the question for today, and thank you very much for helping us answer, is if I work with veterans, how can I show up for them? What's the right way to be a good coworker to a veteran?
All right, I'll see if I can remember all of that.
I'll remind you, don't worry.
One day on the job, but I'm working for a great company called Aditon. They're a pre-Series A startup founded by two former Green Berets like myself. And they're looking to make mobile apps for the DoD and eventually mobile apps that serve the people who don't necessarily work behind a desk and use a laptop, but maybe turn wrenches, climb power lines and whatnot. So yeah, it's really exciting to be there.
All right. So if you had to, based on what you've experienced as a veteran in the workforce, what do you wish that your coworkers knew about how to show up for you at work?
I think being able to just engage me as a human. And I mean, the military, it's a culture inside it. There's many subcultures. And then inside of that, you have individuals, right, who come with a culture before they join the military and they leave with maybe a different take on the world. So I think just not having this, very stereotypical image of a veteran when you approach him or her and get into a conversation with them. And,
are there moments, sorry, just to interrupt for a second. Are there moments where you feel like somebody asked you a question, you're like, God, I just feel stereotyped as a veteran by that question?
Yeah, I almost feel like they want me to entertain them, right? To say, hey,
it's not Saving Private Ryan.
Right. Or sometimes it is, but if it is, I don't necessarily want to talk to you about
it. Yeah.
Or if I do, you may not be the person because guess what? I like to talk to my friends like any human does, right? Any person, you want to know the person beforehand, before going on the deep end, I think, at least for me. And again, I got to speak for myself.
Yeah.
So
that's why this is not advice. We're not telling folks what to do. We're sharing your experiences. So
exactly.
You speaking for yourself is really powerful here.
Exactly. And so when you enter a conversation with someone like that, it almost feels like, oh, you're going to let this person down because they're expecting you to say, I blew up this building and like ran through machine gun fire to do something, right? Or even certain things that maybe they had a military member in their family in the past and they're expecting your answer to be very much like that person's answer. So a lot of disappointment is what people get from me when they enter into conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a really powerful thing, is to avoid making them serve you. My guess is it comes from an intention of a desire to try to connect with somebody whose life experiences you may not know. And I've found in those situations that a good kind of question to ask is, any canned question is going to feel canned. So it's of course tuned to the individual. But as far as canned questions go, getting to know somebody who's a veteran, it's like the kind of question that, is there anything I should know about what you experienced in your service that would influence how we work together? Maybe they had like a great boss who did something terrific, and a lot of roles in the military are just like roles in other places. Like people work in, you mentioned like being a mechanic with a wrench, it's not like they're necessarily in a combat role just because they served in the armed services.
Yeah. To that point, taking the time to ask them for something from their experience that can help with the productivity of the current org, and literally, try to get an example from them that can help, instead of asking about the battlefield, right?
I love that.
I mean,
It's sort of
it
making
does
it
help,
relevant to what you're doing together.
right? It's like, yeah, we push paper in the military, unfortunately for some people, but that does happen, right? And we
You
work
need to push
together,
paper to push soldiers, unfortunately.
right? And we work together, and we have to communicate like any organization.
Well, I just want to say, I think that is really elegant and sensible perspective. And for those of you watching for the first time, we call it "This Is Not Advice" because we don't really believe that anybody necessarily knows what one other person should do. And this is all about sharing our own experiences so that you can all make your own choices. And, I hope that folks who have veterans who are coworkers today just give some thought to how that person would want to be approached, how they might want to be approached if they were in their shoes. Not everybody wants to, relive intense experiences, and certainly not for the entertainment of others.
Yeah. If I know certain things come up, like a Veterans Day, or even like the withdrawal from Afghanistan, things happen that highlight a veteran in your mind when you're at work, and you go,
Yeah.
oh, so-and-so was in the military. I wonder what's on their mind today. If you make the effort to have a relationship with them prior to those events and those
You might know.
occasions, you might know, and you might be able to ask in a better way.
Yeah, great point. Is like, if you just show up on Veterans Day and it's like, look, here we are doing it. We should have done this not on Veterans Day, is what we should have done. But, blame us for that. We're still learning. All right,
Well,
Harold.
hey, our relationship formed right here. Our relationship formed long ago. So.
Oh, I know, for you and me. Yeah, I more meant the gimmick of doing the thing about veterans on Veterans Day. It is an excuse. It's a pretext to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe what we should do in the future is ask these kind of questions on other days. And look, I'll just remind people the data. The number one employer in the United States is the Department of Defense. Number two, so far as I know, is Walmart. Might be Amazon at some point, but right now I think it's Walmart. And so, if you're talking about working with a veteran, you're not talking about somebody in some exotic occupation that nobody's ever heard of. You're literally talking about the most common employer in the United States. So that's the word to everybody there. To be continued. Thank you, Harold.